Life is full of moments that take our breath away. Those precious instants when everything aligns and we feel pure, unbridled joy. But here's a thought that might surprise you. The best thing you can do in those moments of happiness is to keep your mouth shut. Now you might be wondering, why on earth would I want to stay quiet when I'm happy? It seems counterintuitive, doesn't it? We're taught to express ourselves, to share our joys, to let the world know when we're feeling good. But there's a hidden power in silence, a strength in holding on to those moments of bliss just for ourselves. Think about the last time you were truly deeply happy. Maybe it was watching a sunrise, achieving a long-sought goal, or simply spending time with someone you love. In that moment, did you feel the need to announce it to the world? Or did you savor it, letting it wash over you in waves of quiet contentment? You see, happiness is like a delicate flower. It blooms in the quiet corners of our lives, often when we least expect it. And just like a flower, it needs time to grow, to strengthen its roots before it's ready to face the world. When we immediately vocalize our happiness, we risk plucking that flower before it's had a chance to fully blossom. There's a saying that goes, silence is golden. And nowhere is this truer than in the realm of personal joy. When we keep our happiness to ourselves, we give it room to grow. We allow it to take root in our hearts, to become a part of who we are, rather than something fleeting that we experience and then discard. But why is this so important? Why should we guard our happiness so carefully? First and foremost, it's about protection. The world can be a harsh place full of people who, intentionally or not, might try to diminish our joy. By keeping our happiness close to our chest, we shield it from negative influences. We don't give others the chance to question it, to poke holes in it, or to make us doubt the validity of our feelings. Have you ever shared some good news, only to have someone respond with skepticism or indifference? How did that make you feel? It likely took some of the shine off your happiness, didn't it? By keeping quiet, we avoid exposing our joy to those who might not understand or appreciate it. But it's not just about protecting ourselves from others. It's also about deepening our own experience of happiness. When we immediately verbalize our joy, we often do so before we've had a chance to fully process it. We're so eager to share that we don't take the time to truly feel it, to let it sink into our bones and become a part of us. By staying silent, we give ourselves the gift of full immersion. We allow ourselves to be present in the moment, to experience every nuance of our happiness without the distraction of trying to put it into words. And in doing so, we create memories that are richer, more vivid, and more lasting. There's also a certain power in keeping your happiness to yourself. It becomes your secret strength, a wellspring of joy that you can tap into whenever you need it. In a world that often seems to thrive on negativity, having a reserve of quiet happiness can be a powerful tool for resilience. Think of it as creating your own personal oasis of joy. Every time you experience happiness and choose to keep it to yourself, you're adding to this oasis. You're building a place of peace and contentment that exists solely within you, untouched by the outside world. And the beautiful thing is, the more you add to it, the stronger and more resilient it becomes. This isn't to say that you should never share your happiness. Far from it. There are times when expressing joy is not only appropriate but necessary. The key is in knowing when to share and when to savor in silence. So how do you know when to keep quiet and when to speak up? It's all about intention and authenticity. Ask yourself, am I sharing this happiness because I truly want to, or because I feel I should? Am I looking for validation from others, or am I secure enough in my joy to keep it to myself? If you find that you're sharing out of a need for approval or acknowledgement, that's a sign that you might benefit from keeping your happiness to yourself for a while. Let it grow stronger within you until you're sharing from a place of abundance rather than need. On the other hand, if your happiness naturally overflows and you feel a genuine desire to share it with others, by all means do so. The key is to make sure that you've given yourself time to fully experience and appreciate your joy before you start spreading it around. Now, you might be thinking, but isn't sharing happiness a good thing? Don't we want to spread joy in the world? And you're absolutely right. Sharing happiness can be a beautiful thing. But here's the catch. The most powerful way to spread happiness isn't through words, but through actions. When you're truly happy, it shows. It radiates from you in a way that words could never capture. Your smile is brighter, your step is lighter, your whole demeanor changes. And people notice. They're drawn to that energy, that glow of contentment that surrounds you. By keeping your mouth shut and simply allowing your happiness to shine through your actions and your presence, you become a beacon of joy for others. You inspire them not through what you say, but through how you are. And that, my friends, is far more powerful than any words could ever be. Think about the happiest people you know. Chances are they're not the ones constantly proclaiming their joy from the rooftops. They're the ones who carry their happiness with quiet confidence, who spread joy through their actions and their presence rather than their words. These are the people who have mastered the art of keeping their mouths shut when they're happy. They've learned to nurture their joy in silence, allowing it to grow strong and deep within them, and as a result, their happiness is more stable, more enduring, and more impactful on those around them. But let's be clear, your mouth shut when you're happy doesn't mean suppressing your emotions or putting on a poker face. It's not about hiding your joy or pretending it doesn't exist. It's about giving yourself the space and time to fully experience your happiness before you start sharing it with the world. It's about savoring the moment, letting it sink in, allowing it to become a part of you. It's about creating a rich internal experience of joy that no one can take away from you because it exists solely within you. When you eat something delicious, do you immediately start describing the taste to everyone around you? Or do you take a moment to savor it, to let the flavors dance on your tongue, to fully appreciate the experience before you even think about putting it into words? Happiness is like that delicious meal. When you give yourself time to savor it in silence, you experience it more fully. You notice nuances you might have missed if you'd immediately started talking about it. You create a richer, more complete memory of the experience. A meaningful part. The more you practice keeping your mouth shut when you're happy, the more adept you become at recognizing and appreciating moments of joy. You start to notice happiness in places you might have overlooked before. You become more attuned to the small, everyday joys that make life beautiful. This heightened awareness of happiness can be transformative. It can shift your entire perspective on life, helping you to focus more on the positive aspects of your experiences rather than getting bogged down in negativity. But it takes practice. In a world that encourages constant sharing and expression, staying silent can feel unnatural at first. You might feel an urge to immediately text a friend, post on social media, or tell everyone you meet about your happiness. And that's okay. Recognize that urge for what it is, a habit, nothing more, and gently remind yourself of the value of silence. Start small. The next time you experience a moment of happiness, try keeping it to yourself for just 5 minutes. Notice how it feels to hold that joy inside, to let it fill you up without immediately expressing it. As you get more comfortable with this practice, try extending the time. See if you can go a whole day without telling anyone about your happiness. You might be surprised at what you discover. You might find that your happiness feels more real, more solid when you're not constantly trying to put it into words. You might notice that you're less dependent on others' reactions to validate your joy. You might even find that your overall sense of well-being improves as you become more self-contained in your happiness. But what about those times when keeping quiet feels impossible? When your happiness is so overwhelming that you feel like you might burst if you don't share it? In those moments, try this. Instead of immediately telling someone about your happiness, channel that energy into action. If you're happy because you achieved a goal, use that energy to set and work towards your next goal. If you're happy because of something someone did for you, use that energy to do something kind for someone else. If you're happy because of a beautiful moment in nature, use that energy to take care of the environment in some way. By channeling your happiness into positive action, you're not only preserving the integrity of your joy, but you're also creating more happiness in the world. You're turning your personal happiness into a force for good, and that's something truly powerful. Remember, the goal isn't to never share your happiness. It's to create a strong foundation of internal joy that doesn't depend on external validation. It's about building a happiness that's resilient, that can withstand the ups and downs of life because it's rooted deeply within. When you do choose to share your happiness, do it from this place of strength and abundance. Share not because you need others to validate your joy, but because your cup is so full that it naturally overflows. This kind of sharing is authentic and powerful. It uplifts others without diminishing your own joy. As you practice keeping your mouth shut when you're happy, you might notice some interesting changes in your relationships. You might find that people are more drawn to you, more curious about what's going on in your life. There's something intriguing about someone who seems content without needing to broadcast it. You might also notice that when you do choose to share your happiness, people listen more intently. Your words carry more weight because they're not constantly flooding the airwaves. You become someone whose joy is worth listening to because it's not being constantly thrown around carelessly. But perhaps the most profound change you'll notice is in your relationship with yourself. As you learn to hold your happiness close, to nurture it in silence, you'll develop a deeper sense of self-reliance. You'll become more comfortable in your own company, more content with your own thoughts and feelings. This self-reliance is invaluable. It means that your happiness is no longer at the mercy of others' reactions or opinions. It means that you can find joy and contentment even in solitude. It means that you always have a source of strength to draw from, no matter what's going on around you. Now, I can almost hear some of you thinking, but isn't this selfish? Shouldn't we be sharing our happiness with others? And it's a valid question. We live in a world that often equates sharing with caring. We're taught that keeping things to ourselves is somehow wrong or selfish. That tears the truth. Taking care of your own happiness isn't selfish, it's necessary. It's like the oxygen mask principle on airplanes. You have to secure your own mask before helping others. In the same way, you need to nurture your own happiness before you can effectively spread joy to others. By keeping your mouth shut when you're happy, you're not depriving others of your joy. You're ensuring that your happiness is strong and genuine enough to truly benefit others when you do choose to share it. You're creating a wellspring of joy that can nourish not just you, but everyone around you. Would you rather be around someone who's constantly talking about how happy they are, or someone who simply radiates contentment and joy? The latter is far more inspiring, far more uplifting. And that's what you become when you learn to nurture your happiness in silence. As you move forward from this moment, I challenge you to try this approach. The next time you feel a surge of happiness, resist the urge to immediately tell someone about it. Instead, close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Let that happiness fill you up. Let it sink into every cell of your body. Notice how it feels to simply experience your joy without trying to express it. Notice the urge to speak, to share, and gently let it go. Allow yourself to be fully present in your happiness without any need to do anything about it. You might find it uncomfortable at first. That's okay. Discomfort is often a sign of growth. Stick with it. The more you practice, the more natural it will become. And the rewards, a deeper, more resilient happiness, a stronger sense of self, a more powerful presence in the world, are well worth the initial discomfort. Remember, this isn't about never sharing your happiness. It's about creating a strong foundation of internal joy before you start spreading it around. It's about becoming so secure in your own happiness that you don't need constant external validation to maintain it. As you master this skill, you'll find that your entire relationship with happiness changes. It becomes less of a fleeting emotion and more of a stable state of being. You'll be less rattled by life's ups and downs because you'll have a constant source of joy within you. You'll also find that when you do choose to share your happiness, your words and actions have far more impact. Because you're coming from a place of abundance rather than need, your joy becomes truly contagious. You'll be able to uplift others without depleting yourself. So I encourage you to embrace the power of silence in your moments of happiness. Give yourself the gift of fully experiencing your joy before you start talking about it. Allow your happiness to take root within you, to become a part of who you are rather than just something that happens to you. Keep your mouth shut when you're happy, and watch as your capacity for joy grows. Watch as you become more resilient, more self-reliant, more content. Watch as you become a beacon of happiness for others, not through your words, but through your very being. Remember, true happiness doesn't need to announce itself. It simply is. And when you learn to simply be in your happiness without the need to constantly express it, you tap into a power that can transform not just your life, but the lives of everyone around you. So go forth and be happy. Silently, deeply, powerfully happy. Let your joy speak for itself through your actions, your presence, your very being, and watch as the world responds, drawn to the quiet strength of your contentment. Your happiness is a precious gift. Treat it as such, nurture it in silence, let it grow strong within you. And when the time is right, when your cup is so full that it naturally overflows, then and only then, let your words of joy flow freely. Until then, keep your mouth shut whenever you're happy. Give yourself the gift of fully experiencing your joy. Allow it to become a part of you, a strength that no one can take away. And in doing so, you'll discover a happiness that's deeper, stronger, and more enduring than you ever thought possible. This is the power of silent happiness. This is the strength that comes from keeping your mouth shut when you're happy. This is the path to a joy that's truly your own, a contentment that radiates from within and touches everyone around you. So embrace the silence, embrace the joy, and watch as your life transforms, one quiet moment of happiness at a time.